The Masonic institution has existed from time immemorial. It takes good men, helps them to become better men by the use of tools that are patterned on the tools of cathedral builders, but have a moral purpose. You will hear the explanation of some of those tools today in the installation. Masons ascend in their profession as Masons through ritual work that is done within the Blue Lodge or craft masonry. Now, this is not about that. Today we're going to be installing officers, and this has to do with the administration of the Masonic Lodge. The officer is the head of the Masonic Lodge. No institution gives the master of the lodge the type of absolute authority that Masonic lodges give their masters. Even the Grand Master of Masons of Texas is very limited in how he can control or limit the authority of the master. It takes 7 years of ascending through the different stations before you go to the east to lead the lodge. And by that time, a master will have learned a very fundamental thing. That leadership is not about power. Leadership is about service. He's been trained, and these principles have been inculcated into his very being, his core being, so that when he has all of this incredible power, he uses it for a good cause. The institution of Masonry has served that function. You've heard of the Shrine Centers, the burn centers that are operated by the Shrine, a branch of Masonry. The Scottish Rite orthopedic hospitals, the learning centers, the eye foundations. Collectively, the institution of Masonry, which operates worldwide, is the largest single charitable organization in the world. And individual lodges have, like this lodge, Austin Lodge 12, is a very excellent charitable program. They give out scholarships and so forth. So today's installation is bringing in the different officers into their office, explaining to them what their office consists of, what their charge is, and then doing that and bringing in a new team to lead the lodge into the incoming year. The assistant marshal is Past Master John Peters, who will be assisting me. For the marshal, you will call the roll of officers to be installed.
Worshipful Master Andrew Emery Gray. Senior Warden David Jesse Obed. Treasurer Russell W. Ziers. Secretary Ronald G. Wright. Chaplain Arthur A. Vanderbilt. Senior Deacon Lawrence Ira Falk. Junior Deacon Byron Gordon Webster. Senior Steward Scotty James McKinley. Junior Steward Andreas Geraldo. Marshal Brian A. Vance. Master of Ceremonies Jason Castleberry. Tyler John Bringle. Worshipful Master, I present the officers, elective and appointive, of Austin Lodge Number 12 for installation. I believe each of them to be duly qualified to discharge the duties of their office, and each has signified his willingness to accept the same. I therefore ask that they be duly and constitutionally installed in their respective offices.
Brother Marshal, you will present the Worshipful Master-elect for installation. The remaining officers may be seated. Worshipful sir and brother, I take pleasure in installing you to this ancient and honorable office. Prior to being invested with the insignia of your office, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to those ancient charges and regulations which point out the duty of a master of a lodge. You agree to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceable citizen and cheerfully to conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against government, but patiently submit to the decisions of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original patrons of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brethren when convened, in every case consistent with the constitutions of the order. You agree to avoid private piques and quarrels, and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in carriage and behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge. You promise to respect genuine brethren and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the art. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive of the principles and groundwork of Masonry. You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance of the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge upon receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You admit that no new lodge shall be formed without permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance be given to any irregular lodge or to any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in or be admitted a member of any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character. You agree that no visitors shall be received into your lodge without due examination and producing proper vouchers of their having been initiated in a regular lodge. These are the regulations, free and accepted Masons. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Brother Andrew Gray, in consequence of your cheerful conformity to the charges and regulations of the order, you are now to be installed master of this lodge in full confidence of your care, skill, and capacity to govern the same. Brother Marshal, you will invest the Worshipful Master with the insignia of his office, which is the square. where the various implements of our profession are emblematical of our conduct in life, and upon this occasion are carefully enumerated. The Holy Writings. That great lighted masonry would guide you to all truth. It will direct your path to the temple of happiness and point out to you the whole duty of man. The square teaches us to regulate our conduct by rule and line, and to harmonize our conduct with the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses teach us to limit our desires at every station, that rising to eminence by merit, we should live respected and die regretted. The rule directs that we should punctually observe our duty, press forward in the path of virtue, and neither inclining to the right nor left. In all our actions, keep eternity in view. The line teaches us the criterion of moral rectitude, to avoid dissimulation in conversation or action, and to direct our steps to the path that leads to immortality. The Book of Constitutions you should search at all times. Cause it to be read in your lodge, that none may pretend to ignorance of the excellent precepts it enjoins. You now receive in charge a charter by the authority of which this lodge is held. You are to carefully preserve and duly transmit it to your successor in office. Lastly, you receive in charge the bylaws of your lodge, which you are to see faithfully and punctually executed. For the marshal, you will seat the worshipful master and present the senior warden-elect for installation. For the marshal, you will invest the senior warden with the insignia of his office, which is the level. Worshipful sir and brother, to your care is committed the charter of this lodge and the government of the brethren who compose the same and are within the jurisdiction of said lodge. You cannot be insensible to the obligations which devolve upon you as their head, nor of your responsibility for the faithful discharge of the important duties annexed to said station. The honor, reputation, and usefulness of this lodge will materially depend on the skill with which you manage its concerns, while the happiness of the brethren will be generally promoted in proportion to the zeal and ability with which you propagate the genuine principles of our institution. For a pattern of imitation, consider the great luminary of nature, which rising in the east regularly diffuses light and luster to all within its circle. In like manner, it is your province to spread and communicate light and instruction to the brethren of your lodge. Forcibly impress upon them the dignity and high importance of masonry, and seriously admonish them never to disgrace them. Charge them to practice out of the lodge those duties which they have been taught in it, and by amiable, discreet, and virtuous conduct to convince mankind of the goodness of our institution, so that when a person is said to be a member of it, the world may know that he is one to whom the burdened heart may pour out its sorrows, to whom distress may prefer a suit, whose hand is guided by justice, and whose heart is expanded by benevolence. In short, by a diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, the Constitution of Masonry, and above all, the Holy Writings, which are given as a rule and guide to your faith, you will be enabled to acquit yourself with honor and reputation, and lay upon a crown of rejoicing which shall continue time shall be no more. Brother Marshall, you will seat the worshipful master in the east. Brother Marshall, you will present the warrant for the charge. You are too well acquainted with the principles of Masonry to warrant any distrust. You will be found wanting in the discharge of your duty. Suffice it to say that what you have seen praiseworthy in others, you should carefully imitate. And what in them may have appeared defective, you are to yourself amend. You should be an example of good order and regularity. For it is only by due regard to the laws and our own conduct that we can expect obedience to them from others. You are to assist the master in the discharge of his trust, diffusing light and imparting knowledge on all whom he may place in your charge. In the absence of the master, you will succeed to higher duties. Your requirements must therefore be such as that the craft may never suffer for the want of proper instruction. From the spirit which you have hitherto evinced, I entertain no doubt that your future conduct will be such as to merit the applause of your brethren and the testimony of a good conscience. For the marshal, you will seat the senior warden in his station. The members of this lodge will please rise. Brethren, such is the nature of our Constitution, that some must, of necessity, lead and teach, while others must, of course, learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers who are elected and appointed to govern your lodge are sufficiently conversant with the rules of propriety and the laws of Masonic order to avoid exceeding the powers with which they have been entrusted. And you are of too generous dispositions to envy their preferment. I therefore ask that you have but one goal, and that will be to try to please each other and join in the grand design of being happy and communicating happiness. Finally, my brethren, as the business of this lodge has been conducted in peace and harmony, so may it long continue. May you and your associates long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which disinterested friendship can afford, and kindness and brotherly affection guide your conduct as men and as Masons. Within your peaceful walls, may your children's children celebrate with joy and gratitude the annual recurrence of this auspicious solemnity. And may the tenets of our profession be transmitted through your lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Brother Marshal, you will pronounce the proclamation. The audience will please rise.
In the name and by the authority of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Texas, I proclaim the officers of Austin Lodge Number 12, ancient, free, and accepted Masons, duly and constitutionally installed.
Let's give them a round of applause.
you meet me at the altar, Mr. Master?
Would I?
Yes.
Certainly.
Knowing that it is necessary for you to have something to make manifest your orders, I present you this, a spalted pecan, 2-ball gavel. Thank you. With your Thank you, Worshipful Master. I forgot one very important piece of business when I was doing my business, because I don't take notes. You heard that we had 30 or so degrees last year, right? Right. That particular Wright is the one who taught all those guys. Now, he didn't teach them every word because he teaches people to teach people. So, Brother Wright, thank you, and I hope this will help your new job as secretary out. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Thank you. Brother Ron is the hardest working guy. You can have it now, Worshipful.
Thank you, Junior. Well, that was fun. I would like to thank everyone who said yes to me when I asked them if they would be in a position this year. I'd like to thank Brother Alvernos, who I thought did a fantastic job. Where did Brother Peters go? No, thank you, Brother Peters, for this. We made a lot of progress last year as a lodge, and I intend to keep us going in that direction. I think we've got a lot of good things in front of us. We've got a lot of good plans, and we need to get to work. So with that, I will get out of the way and say, Brother Senior Warden, do you have anything to bring before this open lodge before I close it?
I'll spare everyone and say no.
Anything from your desk, Brother Secretary?
Nothing.
Has any other brother besides Brother Pringle anything to offer? Before I close, did Brother Pringle anything more to say?
Nope.
Outstanding. Well, again, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for voting me in. I appreciate it. It's been fun, and we're going to continue to have fun. So with that, I'll say that in the name of God and the Holy Saints John, I declare this open meeting of Austin Lodge 12 duly closed. There. Happy now.
Before you leave,
Oh, yes.
we would like to turn down the lights in here so you can see the stars of the newly refinished ceiling. They've had done. It's really quite beautiful, and it's something to see. So
We had a German craftsman, Peter Hausmann, do the renovation. The stars are gold leaf, and we have actions, constellations there. This is the Starlight Auditorium, the Scottish Rite Theatre. May it inspire great performances and great Scottish Rite Masonry. Beautiful.
That's the sun.
Everybody for our Thank you for coming.